What's going on, guys? It's GBP baby. Welcome to another video. It's currently 10:26 p.m. on Thursday the 12th of October. And what a spectacular day we have had. I do hope that you guys watched yesterday's video where I pretty much outlined exactly what we saw happen today. If not, go check it out just so that you can get an idea of how I'm looking at the market and why I was able to understand exactly what CPI was doing. And yeah, we haven't had a move this big since the beginning of October, probably here, but it's nice to see a nice run up. This is what you call we've had a nice break in market structure, and we can now start looking for buy side again. So in terms of where I'm expecting us to draw to, we've got highs here, and then if you remember from last month, well, from the past few weeks in general, we have this order block, no, not order block, sorry, fair value gap here, which we had a strong reaction on last week. And let me just mark out the stats. This is the low of that fair value gap, and then we got the high of that fair value gap on the weekly. So you can see that we're likely going to want to start trading back into this range. We have this swing high resting up here for buy side, but this is likely going to be seen in next week's action. So I don't want to speak too much on that because we'll discuss all that in Sunday's video. But yeah, let's jump back down to the daily. You can see we traded lower, taking out sell stops below this swing low here, took out that sell side liquidity, and then had a strong reaction on CPI running through highs here, and right into Monday's highs, just as I anticipated. I did say I'd like to see if price can reach into, as soon as it takes out Wednesday's high or Tuesday's high, I wanted to see if it could reach for Monday's high. That's exactly what we got. So we're seeing a lot of bullishness. Now, one thing I want to draw our attention to is this order block here. Now, this is a bullish order block, but it's also a breaker, high, low, high, and we actually broke lower. But breakers work in an inverted fashion. So the breaker block is this down candle, the last down candle before the up move. And they work in an inverted fashion. When I say that, I mean, once we traded through it, the breaker acted bearishly. As you can see, we traded into it, and what happened? We traded away and ran into the sell side, but you can see we traded right back into that breaker. So now I want to see it provide support. Why do I want to see it provide support? Because we traded past the mean threshold aggressively too, so I expect it to now act as support for us to then come back down, find support. Come back down, find support, and then help us launch pad higher into the swing highs resting here, and eventually into that weekly fair value gap that I just delineated. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the color of this first, and I am going to mark out the 50% off the range. Extend the lines right really quickly. And tomorrow we don't have high impact news events, so I'm not expecting too much, but I just want to bring our attention to this 50% level because I believe this should provide support now that we traded through it. This is 106388. That should be fine. And I'll just make that red. And now when we drop down to the 4 hour, we can have a better look at what's happened. So we came down, took out the sell stops, and then you can see CPI push right up, breaking market structure. Where? Here. Took out this swing high, and even this swing high just about tapped it. And now you can see we're just in a slight consolidation. Yeah, like I said, now that we traded, remember this is an order block on the daily, so I'm expecting the fact that we traded through mean threshold, I want to see us find support on it. So I am expecting us to pull back towards it, but I do want to see us find support. We also have a nice inversion fair value gap on the 4 hour, very small though, here. So there's a fair value gap here, but it's an inversion fair value gap. Why? Because it's been traded through on the downside here, and then not delivered on the upside as well. So if price does manage to pull back down and draw back down into this area, it should act as support, which again acts as confluence as to why I'm expecting a push higher into our price into Friday. Furthermore, we have this beautifully long wick right here. I want to bring our attention to the consequent encroachment of that, which also happens to be the top of the fair value gap. You can't make this up. And when I say that, I mean like it's very, it's almost too good to be true if you ask me. 4, 5. So I'm going to just mark that out and I'm going to make it black, and I'm going to call it 4-hour consequent encroachment. We'll make that black, middle, and put it on the right. So at least we know that this is an area that price may want to draw to in terms of the high, and find resistance for us to then either pull back down into this area or put us in a consolidation within this range. So now we have a sell side target and a buy side target. I doubt we're going to reach into these highs purely because there's a lack of news releases tomorrow, and because of the amount of movement we've had on Thursday, the fact that we've taken out Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday's highs, the fact that we've taken out all of that, I'm not really anticipating too much. So tomorrow I'd like to see us draw up towards that consequent encroachment, find resistance, pull back, and have quite a consolidated day in terms of maybe the high getting made in London, and then us pull back during the later session to run down towards this back into the consequent encroachment. But we'll have to see. We also have relative highs now up here that we need to set our eyes on. Buy side liquidity. So price is going to want to draw to that again in the new week with a fair value gap as well. So there's definitely a draw on liquidity up there, but whether price wants to do that tomorrow, I doubt it. I do doubt that, to be honest. We do have a breaker down here, low, high, low, low, but I don't think price needs to come all the way back down in order to grab that. It is possible though. So right now is where it's the best time to wait. When you have big moves like this, one, you can anticipate consolidation. Two, you need to wait because we need to see what the market offers us and what it gives us that can allow us to make a accurate decision or depiction on what we're anticipating price to do. But in general, I would like to see it pull back down into its range. Yeah, and you can see on this time frame as well, there's a lot more inversion fair value gaps in terms of here. So there's going to be it's going to find a lot of resistance as it's coming down if it is going to pull back into the range. So we have the 4-hour consequent encroachment here again, buy side liquidity, and yeah, what am I expecting? It's pretty hard for me to say right now. I wouldn't be surprised if we did tap her up to that 4-hour consequent encroachment, but once it reaches that, I would want to see us turn around. One, because it's the top of the order block as well, and two, because I'd expect some kind of run on stops. So it'll be nice to see if we can reach that consequent encroachment and then pull back on the stops. And the reason I'm expecting to pull on stops as well is because we did actually tag this buy side liquidity. Although we haven't ran it completely yet, I am anticipating that to get completely ran. And when I say ran, I mean like swept, like whew. So I want to see an actual movement through it, and then after a big movement through that, because this is a significant swing high, an intermediate swing high. Once that happens, I can then anticipate a comfortable run on stops to this fair value gap and potential for us to reach lower. But other than that, overall, I want to see us taper up to that 4-hour consequent encroachment, and then hopefully find some resistance and come back down. But it's been a beautiful day in general, to be honest. I'll be very surprised if we do reach the buy side liquidity resting up here. It's not impossible, I'll tell you that, especially after what we've seen. But the only thing that's preventing me from thinking that we're going to reach that buy side liquidity up here is the fact that we have no high impact news releases tomorrow. So there's nothing really to inject in the market or to drive the market up there necessarily for tomorrow's price action, which is why I'm a little bit skeptical in thinking that it will reach that tomorrow. Hence, I've got the consequent encroachment on this 4-hour wick as my target. If it goes up there, so be it. But that's the reason why I'm a bit more cautious when it comes to this buy side liquidity up there. But that's everything for Dixie, and we'll go on to GBP. So GBP obviously had a much bigger down day. Pound was showing weakness. You can see pound failed to take out the swing high. We traded right down. Fair value gap, traded through it, disrespecting bullish PD arrays. We have this sell side liquidity resting here, which it will likely want to try and reach for. Oh, my bad. We do have one high impact news release tomorrow, which is the Michigan consumer sentiment. So that might want to move the markets. That's something to consider, actually. But yeah, we have the sell side liquidity. We have beautiful relative equal lows and a fair value gap resting below there. And we also have the same thing that's happening on dollar in terms of a bearish order block. that we've reached. Have we reached consequent encroachment yet? Yeah, we just traded to mean threshold off it. So once we push through that, I'd want to see us find support within that and continue to push lower. It is quite weird because, again, this order block's from ages ago, but I am seeing it as, I am using it as a in reference in terms of referring to it, and I believe the algorithm will be referring to it as well in order to stage its delivery. So let's go to the 1 hour, have a better look. You can see we had a beautiful opportunity for entry at 8 a.m. Traded right into this fair value gap after a breaking market structure, and then we pushed lower, and from then on we just carried on running, and then we have these relative equal lows here, which are likely going to get swept. Now we do have these relative equal lows are pretty much the same as the relative equal highs we saw on dollar. So if price wants to reach for that, so be it. Again, with it being Friday, I'm just a bit like, can it do it? It can do it, and I'm not saying it won't, but it's possible they may want to hold that for Monday and just hold in consolidation. If they hold in consolidation, I can imagine that Monday and Tuesday next week will be quite aggressive in terms of trying to reach for that sell side liquidity. I can imagine it'll be in a rush. Other than that, it's going to do it tomorrow. And it's interesting because I'm getting much more accurate, so to speak, with how I'm staging my predictions. You'll notice that this week I made it clear like what I wanted to see happen in the London session, what I wanted to see happen in the New York session, and I'm saying the same thing here. If we're going to go for the sell side liquidity, I'd want to see it happen all on the Friday, like early. But if not, we'll be held in consolidation, and then they will simply just do it on the Monday. So I'm not going to say too much right now, because like I said, after a big move like this, it's best just to wait anyway. We are likely going to have consolidation, but if it's not finished, which I don't think it is, then it will go for this sell side. But this sell side liquidity is definitely going to get taken. It'll probably get taken during the Asian session, so we'll have to see. And then let me just find a fair value gap. There's a fair value gap here that we might want to fill as an imbalance. Just something to keep our eyes on in terms of a sell side draw. In terms of upside, though, let's go back up to the 4 hours, see what we can find. I was looking at this wick at this low. Price may want to reach and touch that low. Let me go on the dailies at the same low. Yeah, so I do have my eyes kind of set on this low, but you got to remember that this here is a range in itself. So we can look at the consequent encroachment of this wick and mark that out. Drop back down to the hourly, and you can see that you can see this consequent encroachment. Price may want to draw up to there, draw up to this, and I do believe it will find resistance there. So if we are looking for short still, let's say price does taper back up to this before taking out this sell side liquidity, I'd wait for it to reach here before selling, for us to then push down and trade into that 15-minute fair value gap. That's how I'd see it. But like I said, after a big move like this, you don't want to be too sure. And the reason I wouldn't expect it to go higher is because you see how this wick has taken out this swing high. Price no longer doesn't need to come up there anymore, because we've had the run on stops. The run on stops happened right here. So now that high has been taken and we've moved lower, my eyes are set on the imbalance here, and obviously that consequent encroachment that I just marked out on that big daily wick. And then this outside liquidity, we are still bearish, guys. So that's one thing to remember. That's a very important thing as well to understand with price action. We should be bearish until proven otherwise. So we are going to have retracements. We will likely see a retracement back up around here, but overall we're bearish. So we can expect that any retracement is simply just going to be a run on stops, and then an opportunity for us to sell, and it will sell aggressively, and it will push down into that outside liquidity. So that's something to take into consideration. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how we treat this level. This is the first time I've been in an environment like this, in terms of I've seen this wick and I've drawn it out right across like this. This is the first time I'm actively, looking at how price treats it, especially considering we haven't actually taken out the low yet. But yeah, it's very interesting. We'll see. And we have this week here. Technically, and also supporting that, look at us. We're on the 5 minute high, low, high, high. So what's this? This is a breaker low. And where's that lined up with? That consequent encroachment wick. So there's all these confluences that are coming into play that are going to help guide us and create a plan for our expectations on the Friday. So I'm going to put breaker low. Right there, high, low, high, high, and then we broke lower. So I want to see if I want to watch price draw up to that, and then I think I'd want to be looking for sales at that point. Do we have a range? High, low, high, high, low, low. Technically the breakers this range from this low to this high, but really and truly we should be looking at this candle here. So I'm going to just drag that out like so. I will see if price can, excuse me, I'm so tired. We'll see if price can actually draw up into that. Let me just move this. What am I doing? There we go. So let's see if price can draw up to that, and then but before it, I'm thinking whether it should take out this south side before it draws up to that. I'm not sure right now. I guess we'll see. I'm not going to say too much, but regardless, this is a breaker low, meaning that we can sell at that point. Obviously, if we trade through this breaker, let's say we trade through this, at that point I'd look for support, and then I'd expect us to run higher up and perhaps reach for that. So that's the if and when situation. So I'm anticipating this breaker low to act as resistance, but if say something happens and we trade through it and we find support, then I'll be looking for these highs to get ran and these highs to get ran and this fair value gap to get filled. And that's how you got to be looking at the market. If this happens, then this. Other than that, I'm expecting this. Right, let's go to Euro to finish off. How long have we been going? I can't even see. Euro's obviously had a big down day. Beautiful delivery. We haven't taken out the south side yet. So that's one thing to consider as well. Dollars managed to take out Monday's, is that Monday? Yeah, Monday's high, but pound and euro have failed to. So what's that saying? It's showing strength in the pairs for one. I don't know what else it's saying, to be honest, guys. I'm just talking out my ass, but same thing, sell side. I am going to mark out consequent encroachment off this wick. And the reason that I think the consequent encroachment is so important, guys, is because wicks are ranges too, and so if you're trading through the 50% level of it, that means you're not respecting it, meaning that it should find resistance or support or whatever the inversion is in terms of the direction it's trading in. It should find that when trading through it. So I've drawn out this consequent encroachment, and I want to see this level now act as resistance because we've traded through it. We have a fair value gap there, and we're bearish. So all of those confluences tell me that this should now, if when we do retrace back up to there, which we likely will, I want to find resistance there, and I want to see us push lower. So we've got this beautiful fair value gap resting on the 15 minute. We've got a breaker, high, low, higher, high, break lower. So these lows here are acting as a breaker right in that fair value gap. Just a beautiful entry, really. I do believe this might be the perfect sell, but I don't want to. This is not trade advice. This is not financial advice. So once it reaches that, I'd like to see us run down into this buy. South side, relative equal lows. These are the same lows as the same highs we saw in Dixie. These are those same highs. You can see that in Euro. So whether we want to reach that this week, again, same thing I was saying earlier. It can, but whether it wants to or not, depending on news releases, depending on what's happening on the weekend, depending on the geopolitical events, depending on a lot of things, I guess we'll just have to see what happens. Now, I don't really see an imbalance other than here, down here. So I will mark that out as a potential draw. But again, with it being Friday, just had CPI, I'm probably just going to be I'd be a lot more risk averse, probably half. Whatever you risk today or whatever you've been risking, half it. Oh. Alexa, stop. Oh gosh, sorry guys, Alexa really interrupted me there. So yeah, that's pretty much everything, guys. I do thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter as well. I'm trying to get my Twitter running. Follow me on Instagram. It's all GBP Baby everywhere. TikTok, GBP Baby. Instagram, GBP Baby. Twitter, GBP Baby. YouTube, GBP Baby. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.